everyone, welcome to this update video this morning. I hope you're doing really fantastic and having a pretty good day so far. We're approaching the weekend, which is anticipated by many of us. But as we take a look at the infrared weather satellites right now of the North Atlantic, we can see some thunderstorms across parts of the United States. There's a bit of severe weather moving through some areas such as Texas, going into Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana. So there is some action over there. Northern South America also active with some thunderstorm activity and even some periods of heavy rain for parts of Colombia, Venezuela, and even some spots in the Guyanas. And as we head to the Caribbean, it is also active. So let's zoom into the region here and we can see on the satellite that there are these white dots indicating those lightning strikes. So there is some thunderstorm activity in parts of southern Hispaniola and also to the north of the island, and then in and around the vicinity of the Lesser Antilles and even the ABC Islands. Take a look at that. So thanks to the southwesterly flow, there is some rainfall around for the ABC Islands and even some thunderstorms as well. But further to the west, we can see that it's a little bit drier. So it's wetter towards the east, drier towards the west this morning. However, we're going to be heading on to the rainfall forecast. But before I do that, here is the question of the day. What is another name for relief rainfall? Now, I'm not talking about the relief where you receive some rainfall and thankfully some rain after all of this heat. That's not the kind of relief that we're talking about, but relief refers to the shape of the land and how that shape influences rainfall. So there is another name that is used to refer to relief rainfall. So save your answer and we're going to be discussing it later in the video. But for now, let's head on to the rainfall forecast for today. So it's getting pretty colorful on this map here from Euro. And as we know, the more color we see, more rain is expected. So the northern Caribbean and parts of the east as well are likely to experience some substantial rainfall today. Already happening in parts of Hispaniola. There are some showers around this morning for the Virgin Islands, such as St. Croix and even Puerto Rico and sections of the Lesser Antilles as well. But other areas such as Jamaica, some spots in Cuba, the southern Bahamas, and Turks and Caicos Islands may experience some downpours today as well. No surprises if there are some thunderstorms in the area. And then as we saw, there is some activity moving through the ABC Islands. So Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, you guys are going to be likely experiencing some showers today. That rainfall chance is definitely higher, especially compared to the recent weeks where there hasn't really been much around. Over towards Central America, it will be on the drier side, especially for the Caribbean coast of these different countries. But towards the Eastern Pacific, there could be some additional rain and thunderstorms popping up. So along the Pacific coast of Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, maybe headed near El Salvador, southern Guatemala, and parts of southern Mexico as well. Cayman Islands, much rain is not going to be around, but there could be some passing showers at the most today. And then as we head over to the Lesser Antilles for parts of the Leeward Islands, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Barthélemy, St. Kitts and Nevis, Saba, St. Eustatius, Montserrat, Antigua, Barbuda, there may be some decent rainfall. But as we head further south, Guadeloupe going southward through Grenada, including Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, there may not be as much rainfall around. Northern South America, Colombia, Venezuela, the Guyanas should be a bit active, and there could even be some really heavy rain in parts of southern Guyana later today. So maybe rainfall amounts exceeding 3.5–4 inches of rainfall today, and that could definitely trigger flooding in some of those low-lying areas. As it relates to the winds, it is going to be a bit windy in the east today and parts of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos Islands, even towards parts of Central America. In the evening, the Bay Islands off Honduras, Belize, the Keys, it may get a little bit windy, but for the most part, it's not going to be very, very active in the Caribbean as it relates to those strong winds. Maybe winds averaging around 10–15 knots as we head throughout the day. All right, guys, so with the start of May, today is the 3rd of May, it is safe to say, well, maybe not so safe, the hurricane season begins next month. And so usually now is the time when we start ensuring that there are some plans in place just in case we should get affected in the Caribbean this hurricane season, which is more than likely. It's pretty likely that somebody is going to be experiencing a tropical cyclone in the Caribbean this year. So Again, we're heading on to La Nina phase. La Nina typically enhances favorability of tropical cyclone development in the Atlantic basin. So La Nina is on the way. How do we know that? Let's take a look at the anomaly for the Pacific, where the ENSO region is located. So that's just a portion of the Pacific where temperatures fluctuate, but that fluctuation affects weather on a global scale, and we're going to be looking at it in terms of the hurricane season. So these different colors are representative of weather condition, temperatures rather, are above average or below average. That's ocean surface temperatures. We can see that offshore South America heading out is cooler than average, as represented by those blue shadings. So there is some cooling happening over the Pacific, and we're heading on to the neutral phase of ENSO, and then we're going to be heading eventually into La Nina later this year. But let's take a look at this graph here. It may be a little bit confusing, but I'll try to break it down as best as I can. We have the different months of the year going from February, March, April, and now we're in May. We have those values going up. We've got minus 1.5, minus 1, minus 0.5, 0, plus 0.5, plus 1, plus 1.5. Now, El Nino phase is where the temperature is above average. So when we're in that plus range, that is when we're heading on to El Nino conditions. The minus range, La Nina. Take a look at this. So this actually shows the anomaly of the ENSO region over the past months. So, for example, on February 9, it was around 1.25 degrees Celsius above average here. So, as we head through time, take a look at it. Even though it is fluctuating, notice that it's generally going down, down, down. Now, once it sustains between plus 0.5 and minus 0.5, that's really the neutral phase. And then below minus 0.5, once temperatures are cooler than that in the ENSO region than average, we head into La Nina once they're sustained for a time. So we're getting there, guys. And if we should look back at the anomaly map, we can definitely see that in the Atlantic, especially the main development region, we're seeing a lot of those oranges, those yellows in the Caribbean as well, indicating above average sea surface temperatures. That's going to be fueling development this hurricane season. Along with that, La Nina typically favors a stronger Bermuda high. A stronger high will tend to push more systems towards or in the Caribbean. So yeah, it could definitely be a very active year. We've been talking about it. You've probably been seeing a lot of other forecasts talking about a hyperactive season expected. But that still does not guarantee that you will be impacted. But because you're in that risk zone, that is why preparations are to be made. However, I'm here to keep you posted. So that is basically what I wanted to share with you in this update video. And now let's head back to the question of the day. What is another name for relief rainfall? The answer is, let's see if you got it right, orographic rainfall. So that is the answer. Pretty big word there, but it's just another name for relief rainfall. Now, how does relief rainfall happen? Let's take a look at this diagram here. So we've got the warm ocean surface, and we've got these winds, these prevailing winds, and they meet up on an island, or let's say a mountain. What happens is that mountain is going to be acting as a barrier. The wind cannot go through the mountain, so it rises. That warm, moist air rises. However, as it increases in height or altitude, it gets cooler in the atmosphere. So it is going to cool and condense to form clouds. And then eventually, once those clouds are saturated, there's precipitation or rainfall, snow, different forms of precipitation which take place. It depends on the temperature of the area. Now, in the case of this diagram here, those prevailing winds which are constantly blowing are coming in from the west. So over the eastern side of the mountain, there's not going to be as much rain because, there's all that moisture, all that rain that was shed over the western side or the windward side of the mountain. So what happens in the east is that cool, dry air descends, and that is why that side of the mountain is known as the leeward side, and it is the rain shadow. Again, the rain has been shed. All that moisture is shed over the side where those prevailing winds are blowing to. So that was just a basic explanation, guys. That's how relief rainfall or orographic rainfall works. And I hope that you learned something new. But that's it for this video, and I do hope you found it to be very informative. But as usual, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll get to you. I'll respond to you when I get the chance to do so. And remember to always be weatherwise.